Hello, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's panel. We are delighted that you have joined us for this important event. Hello to all our members of the Nahala movement, and hello to the new people who have joined us today. My name is Lital Slonim. I am Director of Foreign Relations at the Nahala movement, and we also have Gila Slonim with us here as well. First of all, I would like to thank our co-sponsor for joining us in the important panel. Judy Friedman of AFSI, Goldie Steiner, Canadians of Israel Legal Rights, and Tamar Edelstein of Crown Heights Women for Safety and Integrity of Israel to co-sponsoring this important panel. AFSI, which is a national organization with chapters throughout the United States and members throughout the world. AFSI is dedicated to the premise that a strong Israel is essential for Israel and Western important and Middle East. AFSI maintains that the Jewish communities in Judea, Samaria, and the Golan are the best guarantee of strengthened protection where like was the Gush Katif communities. Crown Heights Women for the Safety and Integrity of Israel was founded in 1993 in response to the signing of the Oslo Accord. Their mission is to spread and publicize the Lubavitcher rabbis' directives for Shlemut Haaretz, holding on to Eretz Israel, traditional integrity properly in the land liberty in the Six-Day War and over and of all Yerushalayim, and making pikuach nefesh, protecting the Jewish life, the state of Israel foremost priority. Canadians for Israel Legal Rights was founded in 2008. The motto, their motto is to educate Israeli and non-Israeli students worldwide, as well as grassroots about the Jewish people right to the land of Israel. To this end, the book, The Jewish People's Right to the Land of Israel by Salomon ben Zimra has been publicized by the Canadian for Israel Legal Rights in English and in Hebrew. Ladies and gentlemen, today is the 107 days since the start of the war. 107 days in which the entire nation of Israel mobilized to defend our land and our state. In 107 days in which life stopped and we attend a state and a national emergency, 100 of painful reminder of the disaster result of the disengagement from Gaza Strip. Today, it's clear. We are fighting against an enemy who wants to destroy us in the most cruel way that possible. This is how they educate their children. This is what they invest their money in. Gaza has become a test for the Jewish nation. The entire world, and in particular the Arab countries surrounding, is watching to see how Israel will respond to Hamas. But today, on this panel, we have come to talk about victory. It is clear to all of us that the people of Israel must win. But what does the word victory mean for the war that we are fighting today? How can we make sure that no more rockets are fired at Israel from Gaza? That there will be no more attempt to reform horrific acts like what's happened in the 7th of October. In order to answer those questions, we have to understand the basics. Gaza is part of the borders of Eretz Israel. Gaza is part of the tribe of Yehuda territory, and therefore 3,000 years there was Jewish life there. Since the days of our forefather to the days of Shimshon the hero, the Hashmonaim period, the days of the Second Temple, the period of the Mishnah and the Talmud, until this century. At the time of the Hebron massacre in 1929, the Jews were expelled from Gaza. However, up to this time, there was a communities and connection, Jewish presence in Gaza Strip. Before the establishment of the state, there were attempts to settle in Gaza Strip. The kibbutz Kfar Darom was established, but unfortunately, it did not bring during the war, in the independence war. But after the Six-Day War, we returned to the Gaza Strip again, and the settlement of Gush Katif were established. This, however, was only partial return of Gaza. Gaza is far greater area than just the settlement that were in Gush Katif. In 2005, the Israeli government decided to complete this engagement of the Jewish settlement of Gush Katif. Today, we can see that this painful evacuation of 21 flourishing communities what it has brought upon of us. When we look at Gaza from the historical perspective, we understand that it is just natural that the people of Israel return to settle in the Gaza Strip. Behind the fact that Gaza is part of our country, today it is obvious that, that wherever there is Jewish settlement, Jewish life, there is security for the people of Israel. For the only way to really win the war that we are fighting today, restore security to the citizens of Israel and to deter our enemies, is to return to settle the Gaza Strip. This is the only way. Today, we are going to hear from three very brave and bold people who will each share their perspective on what true victory really means. Daniela Weiss, a co-chairman of the Nahala movement, is with us today. She's been leading the settlement movement in Judea and Samaria for over 50 years, and over the years has led the establishment of hundreds of new settlements. When she arrived in Judea and Samaria, Yehuda and Shomron, the idea of establishing a Jewish life there sounded impossible and impractical. And today, against all odds, there are over 500,000 Jews in Judea and Samaria and over 250 towns and cities. For the past 15 years, the Nahala movement has been leading the establishment of new settlements in Judea, Samaria, Yehuda, Shomron, and the Galilee. During our panel, each of our speakers will address to the audience for approximately 15 minutes. Daniela, please go ahead. Just a minute, we cannot hear you, Daniela. You need to unmute yourself.
Now is better. I just say, Lital, this is what you want, this is what you get. You wanted me. You limited my speech to 15 minutes.
Yes, you can speak for an hour, but we want to bring in 1 hour all the different points.
So first of all, I say shalom to our friends from all over the world. And I wish we could get together in one place, but as the situation is, each one of us is another continent, another country. But we are united with one will to see the future of the state of Israel with light, with strength, with prosperity, that we overcome the terrible tragedy that we have just undergone in Simchat Torah. I want to really start with a very clear saying that we now ought to think, we must think now about what they call here in politics in Israel, the day after the war, the day after the present complicated situation. I want to say very clearly, in my name and the name of Nahala movement and in the name of many people in Israel who think that while so many options and opinions are taking place in the Israeli space, in the Israeli atmosphere, so many ideas, so many calculations about what will be the day after the war. There is one thing that people somewhat warn us not to start to deal with, and this is how we settle the entire Gaza Strip, the entire Gaza area with Jewish communities. First of all, return to the communities that were unrightly evacuated. And I would like to emphasize that if people ask me, and people ask me, how is it practical? One of the easiest things to do and the most obvious and most necessary is to take the northern part of the Gaza Strip, where three settlements were unrightly evacuated and wrongly evacuated: Elei Sinai, Tugit, Nisanit, where hundreds of people were forced to leave their homes, and their homes were destroyed and the settlements were smashed completely. And this part has never been under Egyptian government. It can more rightly be considered Israeli territory than any other state or country. So if people ask me about being practical, this is the most immediate practical thing. Moreover, this will settling the northern part of the Gaza Strip will enable the city of Sderot, which is very close to this area, like 1 mile or even less than a mile, which is 35,000 inhabitants. They can all return to Sderot that was evacuated because of the massacre of Simchat Torah. So I would like very much to emphasize that the talk about postponing the idea of resettling the Gaza area to another day actually leaves vacuum for distorted ideas to take place. Distorted ideas like, God forbid, giving the rule on Gaza to one kind or another form of Palestinian authority, which proved total failure. And when there was for a short time a Palestinian authority government in Gaza, it was very quickly and cruelly removed by the Hamas. And even now, with the terrible massacre of Simchat Torah, that really shocked, I say shocked the world. I know that there are people who became very much anti-Semitic because of this kind of distorted victory of the Hamas. But I want to put this aside for a short while. This demands consideration. But I would like, first and foremost, to emphasize the fact that an idea of enabling any kind of Palestinian authority, government in Gaza is out of question. It's against logic. It's against anything of normal thinking. Then they speak about international power or all kinds of combination of Saudi Arabia and the Emirates and this and that, all kinds of combinations. But the major part of the population in Gaza supports Hamas. So while people raise all sorts of ideas, I think that not only do we have the right to put on the front side of the stage, of the political stage, and the international presentation of the solution for the complicated situation in Gaza today, what should be stand in the most prominent place is the idea that accompanied Zionism all through our history of return to Zion, the combination between settlements, Ishuvim, redeeming the land, establishing kibbutzim, establishing communities, and security. It never went alone. Never was there any success to occupying an area without establishing communities. We got the Negev thanks to the 11 settlements that were built in Motzai Yom Kippur in one night, because according to the partition plan, the Negev was outside the state of Israel to be established. We know from our own experience in Judea and Samaria how it was with Hebron, with Shiloh, with Jericho, with Sikkim, with Shechem. I myself came to Samaria from my home near Tel Aviv. It's almost 50 years ago, but without our being there first in tents and trailers and very, very primitive conditions, these areas that are overlooking the coastal plain, they couldn't remain just under military rule. It is always according to the Zionist tradition, always the combination and going hand in hand and shoulder to shoulder of security and settlements. No one can ever prove any other premise. This worked and this will work, and this is exactly what we want to do now. And I'm emphasizing it time and again, because people try to tell us, Nahala and the other people that are partners of this panel, that, okay, wait with it. First, win the war. How can we win the war if we don't do what Zionism knows how to do best? We even had Nachal, even to some extent today, Noar Chalutzi Lochem, youth that are fighting and establishing communities at the same time. This is a basic idea of the state of Israel and of Zionism. I want to add one other important, Lital, if you allow me. May I add another?
Yes, you have few more minutes, of course.
Okay, you guard me, please. People tell me, you know what? If you have such a clear idea of what is to be done, so what do you say about the Gaza people that are there? I don't call them people. I call them monsters, because what happened in Simchat Torah cannot be defined in any kind of dictionary or encyclopedia or Wikipedia as something connected with humanity. It's monstrous, and it's out of this globe. It's unheard of and will not be heard of again. I follow what happens in the world in places like Syria, in Afghanistan, in Ukraine. People move from one place to another as a result of wars. Millions of Syrians scattered all over the world, millions of people from Afghanistan, millions from Ukraine. Only in Israel, they say it is impossible to take these Gaza monsters and scatter them all over the world. Why is it impossible? Because they will keep threatening the future of the state of Israel, and this is considered legitimate. It is not legitimate. They say, the people who live in Gaza, they say they want to annihilate the state of Israel. And I want to tell you something very specific. Many of the refugees that live in Gaza are refugees from a very famous city that you know, Ashkelon, which was shelled more than any other city in this present war. This is the place where Yahya Sinwar came from. Now, the Arabs of Ashkelon annihilated a Jewish community called Be'er Tuvia. Annihilated, smashed it completely. And then they were evacuated from Ashkelon to the Gaza Strip. Now they lost the right even to be where they are. They wanted to be refugees. They wanted to annihilate Israel, so they will have to leave. Where will they go to? If we press them hard, and we should press them hard, and all this, the trucks that keep giving them the food and the gas and everything that to make their life possible, it's a big mistake. They should go to Egypt. They should go to Turkey. They should go to countries all over the world. They cannot be at the southern gate of Israel. Last but not least, and I wish I could tell you just of all the things that I said, just what I'm going to say now. Right after the Simchat Torah opening, Simchat Torah massacre, we started at Nahala movement organizing families to return to Gaza. How many people registered? How many people enrolled, you think? How many families? Close to 400 families, and you ask me what it means? It means that now, today, while we are speaking here, they are ready to move with the children and the minimal belongings into Gaza and bring new life to a place that became hell by the Arabs. We can make this place a paradise. There are many, many people who are ready to do it this very second. So I expect of you, listeners, spectators, that you give us full support to changing a part of the land of Israel that was tortured by Hamas, to turn it into a paradise, which we can do it. We hoped it would be done, but it wasn't done till now. And now we will make it a paradise with your help, with God's help. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniela, for the important information and explanation. And it's something very special that we see, Daniela and I and Amir and all of us that are going from place to place now from the Simchat Torah. We are, every evening, we are talking with different communities, and we see how many people are understanding today the needs and the importance of Resettle Gaza and to encourage immigration of the Arab population that's living here. And we know that this is the only way to bring back our safety. Now, we have with us today Brigadier General Reserve Amir Avivi. He is the founder and the chairman of IDSF, Israel Defense and Security Forum, which is dedicated to the guiding the narrative of Israeli national security needs and ensuring that Israel's security in the homeland of the Jewish people is never taken for granted. At the core of the IDSF, there is the belief that Israel must have the ability to protect itself by itself. This, as we all know, can only be done by having Jewish communities and Jewish life. Amir, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to join this very important webinar. I want to address the issue of settling from a national security point of view, because I'm sure that we all understand the biblical connection, the heritage, the history, our connection to the land of Israel. But on top of that, we need to talk really about what is the connection talking about national security, because in Gaza, for example, Gush Katif was not built by the right, was built by the left because of security concerns, not necessarily just Jewish history and heritage. Now, I would say from a very general point of view, that when you look at the discussions in Israel and what kind of solutions might be in the land of Israel for some kind of coexistence with the Arabs, even if many of them live still, there will probably be quite a few. And there have been for many years many discussions along three theoretical possibilities, which we need to understand from a national security point of view. One way of looking at it is called, I would say, the separation paradigm. Separation paradigm says we don't want to annex millions of Palestinians, so we need to withdraw. We need them to be on one side of the fence. We'll be on the other side of the fence. There are people pushing these ideas in Gaza, in Judea and Samaria. We've seen how it looks in Gaza. You pull from an area like that, and then you have your enemies being able to build power endlessly. Gaza, by being connected to Egypt, to the outside world, and their ability inside the cities to build up military capabilities, what we are seeing now in Gaza after 17 years of Hamas is unbelievable. It's a whole city of tunnels, hundreds of kilometers. Everything is fortified, endless amount of weapons to such an extent that endangers Israel. And we saw what a devastating attack. I mean, they attacked us with 3,000 terrorists, butchering 1,400 Israelis in one day, but they have 35,000 terrorists. They could have attacked us even in a much bigger scale. And of course, if we would have done, God forbid, the same in Judea and Samaria, that's it. Israel would have ceased to exist. We couldn't even win such a scenario if we're not sitting on the mountains of Judea and Samaria and along defensible borders like the Jordan Valley. So separation, it's not a solution for sure. And even if you find somebody who seriously wants peace, so maybe we'll have peace for 10 years. And then what? What happens the day they don't want peace? Then we set the terms for our own destruction. Then many people will say, you know what, Amir, you're right, separation is not really a solution. Let's have military control. So if we look at Gaza, for example, it's very clear to anybody who understands security and military that the day after in Gaza, we'll have to control the Egyptian border forever, pretty much, because this is the border where all the weapons are coming in from all the world. We need full freedom of operation everywhere in Gaza. So if there is, again, a buildup of terror infrastructure, we need to, on an everyday basis, to operate and foil these attacks, what we do in Judea and Samaria on a daily basis. So there might be somebody who says, you know what? Yes, military control, it's okay, we understand. Why don't we do it also in Judea and Samaria and pull out, all the settlements, would just leave the army. So military control in an area where you have enemies, we've seen that in Iraq, we've seen that in Afghanistan, we've seen that in Lebanon. In all cases, two problems. One, you don't have endless legitimation for having, let's say, occupation. So basically, if you rely only on military presence, there will become a day, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, that whether it's our society or international community will say, guys, listen, you cannot be here anymore. You cannot control other people. You need to get out. Another problem is that without settling, without hundreds of thousands of cars moving around, without presence on the ground, you don't really control anything. And then you stick into military bases, and to move from one place to another, you need convoys. And then you have improvised explosive devices, attacks. In Iraq, for example, the US suffered something like 3,000 soldiers were killed just in convoys moving from one place to another. So we take South Lebanon, for example, we had the same situation. Just to move a few kilometers, we had to prepare convoys and tanks with APCs and so on, while in Judea and Samaria, we move freely everywhere. Anybody can drive anywhere. Why? Because it's a life. You have towns everywhere along the roads. You have thousands of cars moving along these roads, and this creates control and security. So for some of our former generals, settling is a burden. They say, we have to defend the towns. No, it's the other way around. Without settling, you have no security. You need really many settlers. You need towns to create control and security. It's not the army controlling Judea and Samaria. It's 500,000 Jews controlling Judea and Samaria, controlling the roads, creating control, and then the army can focus more on attacks. So really, when we look at Gaza, separation, we tried. We saw devastating. Now we understand pretty much the Israeli society understands that we need military control. But then my question will be, okay, for how long? How long can we keep an army without having towns and having a real reason to be there? And therefore, I think that definitely looking strategically in the long term, we need to settle Gaza. I think also that the Gazans need to pay a price for what they did, and the best price is land. I mean, they don't understand any other price. You just demolish houses, or it doesn't matter how many terrorists you kill. For them, only one thing counts: land. And in this sense, I think that settling is definitely a solution. Now, when and how, this is really more of a policy issue. I think that obviously for today, for the Israeli government in the middle of a war, especially being very dependent on the US administration, it's very hard for the government to say to Biden, who wants a two-state solution, listen, no, we're going to settle Gaza. I don't think this is something that we would expect the Israeli government at present to say, but the society definitely needs to say that. And also looking at the long term, we need to really strategize and think about that and what do we want and how do we want to do it. Many times I'm asked to say to me, Amir, this is logic. You gave us 3 different options, and it's obvious that the combination between military control and settling is probably the best. But, we have the America, what would the America say, and so on. And I really believe that if we know what we want, if we have a clear vision and the society stands behind it, there will be the right administration at the right moment to implement it. It might be in a year. Who knows? Who knows what will happen in the next elections in the US? Who will be the next president? And I think that if we have a clear vision, then we can really push forward solutions. Now, one of the issues that bother many people in the Israeli society in this connection, we need to know how to answer these issues, is, okay, you know what? We understand, this is clear, this is, but what do we do with all these Palestinians? What is the solution? And I think that my answer would be that while our national security needs are very, very rigid, statecraft is really, really flexible. I mean, there are many different kinds of solutions. Daniela talked about people who maybe want to emigrate and encouraging voluntary immigration. This is definitely something that if people want to leave, definitely Israel and the international communities should facilitate that. But let's say that there are people who don't leave. What's the options? Now, the Israeli government is saying, we're not going to have Hamas, we're not going to have Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and also we're not going to have the Palestinian Authority. So it's obvious that we need other solutions. And I want to assure you all that there are very different and good solutions for self-management of Palestinians, whether it's local clans, Emirates, or any other solution. I mean, you know, many times I ask people how many, for example, states you have in Italy. So in Italy, for example, you have 3 different states recognized by the UN. The Vatican is a state the size of a neighborhood inside the capital of another state. So this is really flexible, and there are territories and autonomies. So I think that we can definitely find a solution for the Palestinians to, let's say, govern their own issues and not be Israeli citizens. We don't want to change the balance. We want a vast majority of Jews in our country, and at the same time, really adhere to our Zionistic vision of settling the land of Israel, and by doing that, enhancing our security. Thank you very much, Ita.
Thank you, Amir. Okay. Okay, Amir.
We cannot see you, but we can hear you. But
Okay,
go ahead.
that works at the moment, okay?
All right.
Okay, Amir.
Yes.
If anybody would like to type a question in the chat, we'd be happy to take a couple of questions if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. So I guess, you know, what you're saying very clearly there is like presence is control, which we understand. And it's not just military presence that allows us to have control. We need way beyond that. We need people living there, as we saw in Yudan and Shomron, the difference that it makes. Okay, and the other thing, I think something else that is really important for us to understand is that the only victory that we could have against the Palestinians is land, because that's the language of the Arabs, is land.
Right. And also, you know, it's important to say that settling is not just about Judean Samaria or Gaza. I can say that, for example, 2.5 years ago in the operation in Gaza, the main road between Beersheba and Dimona was closed for 3 days. We couldn't move on this road.
Right.
And the reason is there is no Jewish towns, only Bedouins, and they closed the road for 3 years. This not only impacted many Israeli citizens who couldn't drive along the road. We could not even bring. Sorry.
We say when they closed the road for these 3 days, even 3 days is, he just said 3 years. We wish it is not.
So in these 3 days, we couldn't bring munition to the Air Force Base. It was also locked. And the same goes for the Galil. In places where you don't have Israeli towns, you don't have security. It's very, very clear. It's in all the land of Israel, it's the same. You want security, you need Jewish towns. That's as simple as that. This is the basic Zionistic idea.
Okay.
It's all about settling.
Terrific. Okay, we have a question, okay, from Steve. You could unmute yourself, Steve Purcell, okay, and ask your question. In the meanwhile, I'm going to ask how Stephen Schechter is asking, how come the vast majority of Israelis don't understand that Gaza, Judea, and Samaria need to be annexed and settled?
Well, this is why, you know, I founded IDSF, because this is exactly what bothered me, that there are certain narratives that were pushed for many, many years that told a story that if you annex areas, you are endangering the Zionistic project, because then you need to annex millions of Palestinians, and that would be the end of the Jewish state. And nobody really gave serious answers and solutions. So we have really worked hard to, on one hand, explain really the national security needs of Israel, what we need to exist for generations to come, a really long-term vision of what is needed to secure Israel on one hand. On the other hand, bringing creative solutions that will solve this key issue of not wanting to annex many Arabs and change the demographics of the state of Israel. And I think that today we managed to really bridge these two issues and give a comprehensive solution that will enable us, on one hand, to prosper, be secure, settle the land, and on the other hand, to present creative solutions, which you, by the way, all of you can read in the website, idsf.org.il, connect and see really the different solutions we offer.
Thank you, Amir. We have questions about people who are interested in settling and becoming involved, and that is a Nachala thing. And we're running a rally in Binyanei Ha'uma on next Sunday in 1 week's time, which we'll send you the details shortly. Okay, and in that rally, you'll be told how it's going to happen and what you could be doing, but you could be in touch with us. Send an email. You all have our email information, okay, from this webinar, and you can send us an email. We'll include you on the list. The other question people are asking, how do people that are not living in Israel, how can people help? So we're running a charity campaign at the moment because we need help. We need finances in order to run this campaign to resettle all of the Gaza Strip with Jewish people. We're going to need funding. So that is always something that people could help us with. Okay.
Gila?
Sure.
Gila, may I refer to what Amir just said, and also to your comment? I would like to relate to both things. Amir, you mentioned that the narrative that has developed in the course of years is that should we annex Judea, Samaria, even the Golan Heights was an issue, and now Gaza, if we annex them, then who knows what the world will do to us. But we can always return to the days when Ben-Gurion decided to declare independence, and the world in the beginning, even though it was just 3 years after the Holocaust, it wasn't so automatic, and people were many were hesitant, and it needed leadership to decide, yes, we do it. And so we have the state of Israel, and the same thing is needed now. And I would like to emphasize that, as we say in Hebrew, Davka, specifically because we saw the size of the attack and the intention. It wasn't just to annihilate a few kibbutzim and ishuvim. The intention was to annihilate, and still is, to annihilate the state of Israel. So we should weigh one thing in front of the other. No, we will not let such a thing happen. We will stop it. How will we stop it? By doing something courageous. And what is courageous? Yes, we annex it. And I want to tell Amir, and I want to tell our listeners and spectators, that people said to us in Samaria, there is no chance whatsoever that there will be canceling of the disengagement law in north of Samaria. Nachon Aviv, is it? Am I right? Amir, yeah. Amir. Aviv is also nice. Amir. So they said, no, impossible, it will never happen. And now we have the yeshiva at Chomesh and the disengagement law canceled in the northern part of Samaria. So the same thing can take place in Gaza. So when people say possible, impossible, we should always bear in mind the crucial historical moment in Zionism where leaders did something that changed history. And I believe that this is a time to change. Amir, you spoke about agenda, to change the agenda. There was a big test, and now we answer this test by annexation.
I think that the kind of discussion we had here in the last 30 years, and we were presented with two choices: either retreat and avoid annexing 2 million Palestinians or whatever the number is, or if we annex, that's it. We won't be any more Zionistic, and we'll have to. And I think that what it made, without some clear vision looking to the future, our whole system froze because the choices we were given are both terrible. So nobody wanted to decide anything. And I think that with a clear vision, and as you said, bravery, I think Gaza is giving us a big opportunity to look again at reality, create visions, and really push forward for a much brighter future in the land of Israel, a secure future, a prosperous future, and the future which has a lot of settling with it, because this is a basic Zionistic thing.
Right.
Guys,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And that has been enlightening, important, and I'm sure we'll be welcoming you back to our Nachala events. Thank you very much, Amir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. So I'm sorry if you can't see me. I don't know.
No, we can see you, Gila. We can see you now.
We can
and
see
we
you.
Tali with us. Hello.
Ah, great. Hi,
Hi.
Tali. Terrific. So, Tali, I just want to introduce you. Welcome to this Nachala panel. Okay, and it is really an honor for me to welcome you to our panel today. Tali has worked for the state attorney in Tel Aviv, in the Tel Aviv district, before she joined the political arena. She has been a member of the Likud since 2022, and Tali is well known for her conviction to the true ethos of the Likud party, and she shares her views very openly and proudly. Tali, thank you very much, and we're really delighted that you joined us.
You're welcome. Hi. Don't discount yourself and don't learn Hebrew. Speak Hebrew, it will be much more easier to us. But it's an honor. It's an honor to me to speak with you, and because it's so important. So even if my English is not so well, it's important to me that you understand every word and about this so important subject. And I'm telling you, as a beginning, we are in the middle of of war in Israel. The 7th of October, the Hamas get inside Israel. You have to go and travel Israel to understand what's the meaning to get inside the border of Israel and to murder more than 1,400 people, murder and rape and cut heads and abused dead bodies and body before killing the bodies. And then we understand, and every one of you must understand, that the only solution to disencourage the enemy is to settlement and to sit and to live in the land of North Gaza. And I try to understand, to explain you why. The victory of the war, it's not in our eyes. Victory should measure in the enemy's eyes, perception of the enemy. And the enemy, the Hamas, and terror itself, don't count their dead bodies. Even if we, till now, killed more than 8,000 Hamas, and there is 30 כמה עוד יש? עוד 30,000? How do you say 30,000 שהם ישמעו?
3,000.
hundreds. 30,000 more in Gaza. So it doesn't mean anything to the enemy. If we want to defeat the enemy, the only words or actions they understand in Arab, it's called the words in Arab el-ard, which means the land. The only language the enemy can understand being defeated is to take to sit in their land. I know that to say conquest is a bad word. In my opinion, it's a holy word. because that's the only way I can bring back the security and the safety to my people in Israel. You must understand. You must understand. And I'm telling that to the US people, to the American people. There is no war between two armies who wants to live and wants to peace with one another. Because the ethos of the Palestinian is that between the river and the sea, there is only one country and there is only one state, and it's Palestine. That's the ethos of the Hamas and the ethos of the Jihad Islamic Palestini and Hezbollah. They see the Zionut as an enemy. That's their belief. There is not people who want to be with peace with me. That's not the argument at all. They want me dead in the sea, me and my people. And they are cruel enemy who killed my people, killed brutally. And if I want to get back the ability to disencourage the enemy or intimidated the enemy, I must take their land. Must take their land. We are not in 2023. No, we are back. We are living. We are now, as in my point of view, in the beginning of my country. I built it from the beginning. I have to bring back my strength as Israel people and my
my strength.
Strength back. I want the enemy to remember that if they do it one more again against me, they have to afraid of us. But if you see Telegram Gaza, you understand that they don't afraid of us because we are so predictable. They know exactly what we are doing and what we are about to do. There is no secrets in Israel. They speak about everything, what we are doing now, what we will do tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. That's not a way to win a war. We have to surprise the enemy. We have to be completely unpredictable if we want to win and to get a real victory in Israel. So in my point of view, you must understand, in the last Shabbat, I went to the kibbutz, Miflasim kibbutz, next to Gaza, next to the border. And you know, it's so dangerous. We hear the Gaza people. We hear everything. It's so close. So if they were normal people, not murderers and rapists, we can live next to another with peace. But they want us. I can't. I'm sorry if it sounds so dramatically, but they actually want us in the sea. I hear what Al Jazeera speak about the Israeli people. I hear in Telegram Gaza what they are speaking about the Jewish people in Israel. So if I have to choose between terror and my people, I choose my people. And if I have to choose between their blood or my blood and my people's blood, it's my people's blood. And I'm not, and Israel and Jewish don't want war. We don't want to be in conflict with anyone. We want to live peacefully. But we are not, and we cannot close our eyes and not see the reality. And in the reality, we are in a huge strength. And the enemy, it's not just the Hamas. You must understand that when Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu, when he went to Saudi and speak about peace with Saudi and USA to make a peace agreement with USA and Saudi and Israel, because I understand very well about the Middle East, it was obviously that it's only a measure of time till Iran get its proxies against Israel. And that's what happened. Because in the Middle East, there is איך אומרים ציר? שכחתי.
Pass, a pass.
Axis.
לא, לא, לא.
Axis.
There is a connection between
Ac-
Iran,
Connection, perfect.
Iran, Syria, Hezbollah, Hamas, Qatar. It's an enemy. You must understand this. And they want us to be defeated by the terror. And I won't let them win in doing this. And I'm telling you, and I'm telling that in Israel, even if people cannot listen to the word, conquest, if you want to understand the power of this word, that's what the enemy understand. They get to my land, to my country, 22 kibbutzim, they murder. When you go with your car traveling in the south of Israel, you can't imagine what you see there. You can even smell the dead bodies till now. All the way there are איך אומרים מיגונית?
The shelter rooms.
Tented all the way with weapons, with the holes of weapons. People were killed there in a brutal way. And if we want to live safely and security in Israel, we have to be stronger than the enemy. We have to be powerful, more powerful than the enemy. But if we get our head down all the times and speak with them, we pet the enemy. You know what's pet the enemy? I don't know if it's the word. We pet the enemy. We speak to the enemy in a nice language, and we please be okay with us, and we will be okay with you. No. That's not the way to defeat the enemy. No, they laugh at us. When we are speaking like this, they laugh at us. We gave them money through the year. We really thought you have to be dumb, sorry, that's the word, to believe that if we pay protection to the enemy, he won't beat us. He won't hurt us. So now, in this horror world that we have, my son is in Gaza and my brother is in Gaza, and Israeli mom and dad put their son and daughter to fight with this terror, Hamas and Jihad Islami Palestini. And we have to bring us back the pride to be Israeli, the pride to be Jewish in Israel, in our father's land. And we have to remember that if the enemy conquest my kibbutzim, the solution is to be there, to settlement in this area. And there are people in Israel who are not afraid to live there. And that's the solution. That's the only solution to feel security in Israel. So people who listen to us, and I'm sorry for my English, but I believe that you understand yourself. That's the reason why you are in this Zoom, in this panel, because you want to understand what's happened here in Israel. In your bad dream, you can't believe that someone get inside your house, raped your wife, and killed your children. You know, I went at the beginning of the war, I went to Shura, Machane Shura. It's a place which we identified the bodies. There was bodies in shape that you can't imagine. You have to be devil person to do this. That's the enemy. That's our enemy. That's the people we are dealing with. And we have to defeat them in order to live here safely. We owe it to ourselves and to our children and to our grandchildren. Israel must remember that she has all the right to defend itself. And it's not just it's not just words. That's what we have to do in order to live here safely. And I want the help of anyone who hears this panel. We want your support in the idea that only by settlement the land, the only way to defeat the enemy and to disencourage them, all our enemies,
Thank you. Tali, thank you very much for your
Thank you, thank
passionate,
you.
for your
Thank you, Lital, and thank you, Daniela. They're
Thank you,
doing
Tali.
such
I want all the audience will know that Tali is coming from the second that she started to be a Knesset member to every time that we are calling her to come. She's coming from one hilltop to another rally, to another event, and she's brave to say the truth in front of everyone, and it's amazing.
Just
Tali.
don't forget, but I want to say that Daniela, she's doing all she can to bring to the people in Israel the idea of settlement in Israel. You know, there are people in Israel till now, till after the 7th of October, who don't understand, doesn't understand the importance of living and build houses all over Israel. That the only way we can take care of our land. Daniela, toda. Lital, toda. Thank you very much. You are bringing so much pride. That's the beauty of Israel. Mamash kacha. Thank you very much. Anytime you want. Anytime you want. In Hebrew, I'm much more nicely.
You were excellent. Tali, thank you very much.
God bless our soldier, our brave soldier.
Thank you, Tali. Thank you, Tali. I'm not sure if you
Thank
can see me or not, but I want
Yeah,
to
we
thank
see you.
Beautiful face. We can see you.
Thank you. First of all, your English is great, Tali. You keep on speaking English. We need a lot of people to tell the English-speaking world, the foreign world, how important it is. Your important views, your understanding, what is basic and unclear to all of us who are here today, that the territorial victory is the only victory, and the only way to really achieve that is by settling the land. We need to speak it. We need to shout it from the rooftops. That's what we all need to be doing. So each one,
like the Arab said, I told you that the Arab said in Arab world, El Ard. Ard is land in Arabic. That's the only language I understand. By touching the land, El Ard. That's in Arab.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we have today over 100 ambassadors here that are all going to help us to share the important words that they've heard on this panel about we don't have to be afraid.
Thank you all.
We don't have to be afraid.
Thank you all. We are the Jewish people. We are for one another all over the world. That's the only way to keep this great nation, to be Jewish with proud, with the head up. So thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you, Tali. Thank you very much. I think that it's very clear that today, and Tali made it very clear, that there is an existential threat facing our country, and it can only be curbed with the continuous courage of our incredible soldiers, okay? And we all send our deepest blessings to them from here, together with our strong nation, a nation that stands up for itself as it should. Okay, now, as you heard from Daniela, Nachala is preparing for the day after. You can't prepare on the day after for the day after. We need to prepare now. We need to prepare today. We need to prepare last week, and we needed to prepare years ago. But today is when we're working, and we are working really hard here. Nachala movement is working more than 24/7, 24/8, okay, really. And please God, on Sunday, for all of you that are in Israel, join us on Sunday at Binyanei Ha'umah in Jerusalem for a very, very important gathering, okay? And I want to tell you something. This victory rally that we're going to be holding, Netanyahu's going to be watching. And when he sees that it's full inside and that there are people standing in all of the aisles because there's not enough space, he's going to understand that there are thousands upon thousands of people who want to settle all of Gaza. Okay, and I know that the people here are among those people. So we're going to be sending you out an email with all of the information, okay, about the rally. And in order to do all of the things that we're doing, ladies and gentlemen, we can't do it from air. We need your help. We really, really need your support. So please, we're turning to you to help support us and to support us with your words, support us financially, support us with your presence. And yes, we'd love to have you in our Garinim as well. I want to thank Daniela, I want to thank Tali, and I want to thank Amir and Lital for all of the important words that have been said here today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank each and every one of you. And Baruch Hashem, we had over 100 people with us today. So if we reach more people, I'm sure there would have been more people, but that's a great start. So ladies and gentlemen, till our next event, we say Lehitraot. Thank you very much.
One more thing before we will finish, Gila, with your permission. We will send you, like Gila said, few things in email, but we spoke about before, and I will do a share screen, that we also have a charity campaign, and you can see now on the screen, and we're turning to everyone to help us with this campaign, because all this effort that we are doing to make sure that Am Israel returning to the Gaza Strip, we need your help. We need your standing with us in this huge campaign. The rally in Binyanei Hauma next week, it's only one of the events that we are doing from the 7th of October. We already did 3 different events in Ashdod, in Givat Washington, and we will continue from one hilltop to another, from one goal to another, to make sure that the Israeli government will understand that the people of Israel are demanding and asking and wants to see Gaza Jewish, to see Gaza resettling with Jewish life, with Jewish kids running in the street. And this is the only way to make sure that Am Israel will have a security in his only small state, Jewish state that we have. And this is the only Zionist answer that we should do and see after what's happened of the 7th of October.
Lital, by your permission, at different points, people ask me when we do charity fundraising, what do we use the money for? Why do we need money? We need money because the 7 groups of Garinim, the 7 groups of families, 400 families, are already working very hard in order to make it possible to settle, to establish new communities in Gaza. All our public activity, all our educational activity, everything is involves many expenses. So I address you all, each one according to his ability, according to his will to help, also financially. Please do whatever you can in order to enable us to continue with the idea of enhancing Zionism, as it was so explicitly explained by Amir and by Tali, by Gila, Lital, and myself. Please. I think Leon Smedra wanted to say something, one of the participants. Gila, can you enable Leon speak?
Let's see.
Let's see.
Okay.
Well, it's alphabetic.
Okay, 1 second.
Leon.
Okay, I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to have to finalize our Zoom now. Say thank you to everybody who has been with us tonight. And remember, we look forward to seeing you on Sunday night. And we appreciate all of your help for all of the things that you're going to be doing to help us. Thank you.